Hello, my name is Omar Rapisad. It's Wednesday, April 24th, 2019 at 3:20 p.m. in Toronto. So I'm going to give you today's sample of my being tagged. You can see a reading there, but it's not alarming. It's not alarming. Okay. So I tweeted a bunch of tweets today, ROSHINI 911. Those were mine. Um, I talked about the use of directed energy weapons to train. There were some links there that pointed to a letter that I wrote to an MP about the use of directed energy weapons by gangs in the building, possibly, and in the city and globally now. So um, I've been recording in my videos these signals and what they cause. I also show that the detector is not picking up signals around my body, but it is picking up signals when it's directed at my body, at certain spots in my body, and sometimes all over. So this means, and I demonstrated how that works with a cell phone. So the detector works. Um, and I demonstrated with the cell phone how when data is being downloaded from the cell tower into the phone, the detector is activated and the power as well. And there was a lot of parallels between that exchange and the alarm, setting off the alarm, the detector, and what happens in my body when it's pointed at my body. Similar thing happens. The detector goes off. So, and I feel pain. The temperature goes up in the spot that that alarms, that triggers the alarm, and my blood pressure goes up, which is an indication of pain, and my heart rate goes up again, an indication of stress. I've demonstrated that several times in several videos. So since the signals are not being triggered right now, I'm not going to do it again. So um, I also posted some links about Helen Cordina. This is a lady who used to live very close by in my area and started talking about being hit with these signals by two Chinese people. Not quite sure whether it was in the same house if these two people were living in the same house that she was living in, but she was living in a house owned by Chinese individuals. So, and it was very close to this area, and around this exact same time that I started experiencing a lot of these signals that correspond with pain that I've demonstrated in this building. So she talked not only about Chinese perpetrators, possible perpetrators. She talked about Russians as well. So obviously there is a lot of ethnic backgrounds involved in this in this sort of targeting. My guess is that once a person is flagged, and you don't have to be flagged. I'm just taking a flagged target as an example. You could be targeted by anybody. You know, especially if you're from an ethnic background that has a lot of criminal activity, that has a lot of gangs. You could be targeted for whatever reason. You're a businessman, you're targeted. So, but let's take the group of people who are flagged and so are targeted, quote unquote. So these these individuals are experiencing exactly the same events that causes pain and causes all sorts of other physical ailments and symptoms that the other ethnic groups are experiencing. So the targets are experiencing what other groups are experiencing as well. So you don't have to be a target. So I made that point. However, in Helena Kurdina's case, um, these Russian people um, could be that she told the cops about too, by the way. I mean, these people could be involved in other terrorist activity. They may have other people of the same ethnic background in their group as who's not on a list, but who they are targeting for whatever reason. It could be political reason. Who knows? It could be for just for exploitation purposes. It could be trafficking. So I'll take an example. That person who plowed down a number of people in the Young and Finch area. I mean, is it possible that the driver was a target of whoever, a group of people who has access to these technologies, which could be easily accessed through the net? Some of them could be made homemade for people with the technical skills. Could be bought in a black market if you want to go really sophisticated. I mean, it doesn't have to be. You don't have to be in a list to be targeted this way. So who's to say that somebody of a different ethnic background doesn't have to be Russian? I'm not saying the Russians did it, uh, but it could be any group of people mind controlling an individual or a group of individuals to carry out a violent act or a bunch of violent acts, like driving a truck on a pavement and killing 12 people. I believe that's how many people died. These are terrorist activities. This is gang activity. So it's all related. These technologies, the use of these technologies, are all connected. The events that is a result of people who are not all there, mentally ill, or on drugs because they've been prescribed drugs for some sort of mental illness. These could very well be people who are targeted with these technologies and mind control to do these deeds as just another criminal act. Let's see how far we can take this. Let's see what this individual is going to end up doing if we push the person far enough. It doesn't always have to be about trafficking, as it is in my case. So in my case, there are definite evidence of being tracked because reports are being submitted about me. I'm flagged, therefore people are submitting information about me. I've been dragged out of my home, therefore information is being submitted about me saying I'm mentally ill based on lies because there was no diagnosis, and the evidence, quote unquote, that was given by the cops were all things that I was complaining about to management. So I wasn't doing them, somebody else was. And it was being done to me as well. So if I was reacting to what was done to me and these people reported my reaction as signs of mental illness, that would have been a setup and a frame. So if I was flagged, then obviously the cops knew that I was flagged. Did one of the person have a receipt? That the person who signed me out? I keep getting harassed about being signed out. Somebody in the building had a receipt, and the people who kept calling the cops and setting me up and framing me were working with the person who has the receipt. Very likely. That's probably exactly what happened. Again, I'm being framed and I'm being set up again. This is ongoing. 10 years later, it's still going on. My charge was very, very likely a setup. I was framed. I'm convinced that I was framed. And that's not paranoia. And it's very interesting that I'm being told that I'm mentally ill. So, in Judge Archie Campbell's report about the Paul Bernardo's case that was botched, the investigation, and ended up with all these people getting raped and killed and tortured. He said that the cops do not take calls from women who complain about being stalked seriously. They don't take calls about stalking, and they don't, I think the impression he gave from the review was the cops, right across the board, don't take women complaints seriously about anything, and they always seem to tell them that they're mentally ill. He didn't say that in the review. This is from other readings and personal experience. Every time I talk about being gang stalked, which I am, because I'm tagged and I'm targeted and I'm being set up and framed, I'm being mobbed as a result of these meetings that's being held, which is terrorism. Every time I complain about the fallout of all these things, that because the information is in the public arena, I'm being told by the cops that I'm mentally ill. Even with videos, I'm mentally ill. So there is definitely something going on in the police force where women are concerned. So I also talk about other influences, people being policemen being members of societies that have sworn oaths between themselves, that has a conflict with public service, that has an impact on how they treat women. Now, Judge Archie Campbell talked about systemic failures. Well, that would be a systemic failure right there. I am not mentally ill. The reactions to being harassed is not a mental illness. It's natural to get angry if somebody's calling you an effing whore and also makes all sorts of nasty remarks about you. It's natural to get angry. There's no anger, this built up anger that people talk about. Oh my God, she has all this anger and she's so angry and so aggressive and she could be a danger to society and danger to us. Well, this is often nonsense. What is dangerous is the flagging system. The flagging system is putting women's lives at risk. Because when you have people denigrating a woman publicly and getting away with it, it tells men and a women as well that it's okay to do it to other women and you will get away with it too. The cops are not going to do anything about it. The cops are not going to take the complaint seriously. The woman has no voice. The woman's voice is suppressed. You can do anything to her and get away with it. That's the message that's being conveyed. That's putting the public at risk. The mobbing is putting the public at risk. The tagged person is a magnet for criminals because they know they can do anything to the person and get away with it. They will also try to get the target involved in criminal activity. If the person is naive enough, they will fall for all the tricks. If a person is not aware that the person is a target, then it's not naivety at that point. It's just not being aware of what's going on. The bamboozling, the hoodwinking that is involved in this whole targeting program. So there is no mental illness here, none whatsoever. I also wanted to make a brief comment about a YouTube video I posted about Masonic symbols in our city. And this guy I guess he had the same concern or curiosity. And so he went to the headquarters, the Toronto Police headquarters at College. And in College Park, the College Park headquarters downtown. and there was this statue of a pyramid that had two layers left at the top, and this policeman that looked like a woman, um, with a trowel in the hand, putting the blocks on. That pyramid, of course, is a symbol, a Masonic symbol, um, and uh, and it depicts the um, the agenda, the Masonic agenda. It I guess depicts is the wrong word. It conveys a Masonic agenda to the onlooker. Now, why is that in front of a police headquarters building? Because I mean, as far as I could read, the Masonic agenda is very anti-woman. So, am I to take from that symbol, from that statue, that the police is anti-woman? Keep in mind that the mind actually deals in symbols. The mind actually picks up symbols faster than anything else. So, I mean, after all, the alphabet is a bunch of symbols. So the mind deals in symbols. So if you look at it subliminally and subconsciously, if you know what the Masonic agenda is all about, you would get the message clearly. There was another one with the obelisk being drawn by a small boy. There were three in three different locations. And there was another one that at another location with the male, the adult male, in one hand was the book, like a Bible, and the other hand there was two blocks. So the message there is, we have the blocks on one hand, which that we're going to use to build, and we're going to build it according to the book. Which book is my question? Whose book is my question? Where is the code of to build uh, our society? I take it. Where is it coming from? Which book is that exactly? Masonic book? So I don't think I'm far off when I say that one of the reasons why there's a misogynistic attitude towards women in the police force, it's probably because a lot of the members in the police force are Masons, especially at the top level. And Archie Bunker, could have been Archie Bunker. Um, actually, he would have been more direct in what he would have said. Um, Archie Campbell pointed out the systemic failures, and I lost my train of thought there. That was not the point I was trying to make. Okay, that'll be another video. But anyway, it's going on 20 minutes. So I'm going to close it off there. So my point is, the members of the police force who are Masons at the top level. Oh, this was the point I was trying to make. Um, um, Justice Campbell was talking about the upper layers, the lack of leadership, and the lack of pulling it together at the top, and the urgency, the lack of urgency, taking it seriously, was at the top level. And the Masons, the membership is at the top level. I don't think that's a coincidence. Unfortunately, Judge Campbell died a few years after making these these observations in the reviews that he did. Only 65 years old. And from what I read, he was a one of a kind judge, unique, and down to earth, just strictly from what I read, and very humble in his approach to the law and to the people. So definitely not the kind who comes across as elitist, maybe with a different worldview than somebody who would be elitist. It's interesting that in the Toronto Star article, I read that somebody gave him a stuffed skunk. That was very interesting. Because as a target, I'm called a skunk all the time. Was he a target? Good question. Talk to you another time.